Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. I always get excited for these. It's like opening a new book. You never know what treasure you're going to find.
Absolutely. It's the thrill of discovery, isn't it? And today we're diving into a world that's both familiar and extraordinary.
Familiar, you say.
Well, in the sense that it deals with something we all know and love, the bond between humans and their pets.
Ah, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
But there's a twist, right?
Oh, there's definitely a twist. Today's deep dive takes us into the delightful world of Thinker's Rap, My Puppy, Poet, and Me. It's a children's book by the wonderful Eloise Greenfield.
Eloise Greenfield, now there's a name that carries weight, especially in children's literature.
Absolutely, a true icon. And in Thinker's Rap, she gives us a story that's both heartwarming and thought-provoking. We're talking about a puppy who writes poetry.
A poetry writing puppy. Now that's not something you hear every day. So we've got the book itself, of course, but we've also dug up some fascinating background information on Eloise Greenfield and the themes she explores in her work. Exactly. And our mission today is to really unpack all of that, to get to the heart of what makes this book so special and why it continues to resonate with readers even today.
So let's start with the premise. A puppy who writes poetry. What was your first thought when you encountered this idea?
Well, I'll admit, my initial reaction was a chuckle. A poetry writing puppy. That's got to be cute, right? But then, as I delved deeper, I realized there's so much more to it than just cuteness.
There's always more than meets the eye, especially with Eloise Greenfield. So this puppy, he's not just scribbling random rhymes, right? He's got depth, a real understanding of language.
Precisely. His name is Thinker, and he lives up to that name in every way. He's insightful, observant, and he uses poetry to express his unique perspective on the world.
Thinker, what a fitting name. And I love that Greenfield chose to tell this story primarily from his point of view. It's like we get to see the world through the eyes of a poet, but a poet who happens to be a puppy.
It's such a clever narrative choice, and
Uh-huh.
it really allows us to connect with Thinker on an emotional level. We see his joy, his anxieties, his struggles, all filtered through this wonderfully creative lens.
And it's not just Thinker's story, is it? We also have his human companion, Jace, a 7-year-old boy who, as luck would have it, also loves poetry.
And that shared love for poetry forms the foundation of their relationship.
Huh?
It's the common ground that allows them to connect, to understand each other in a way that goes beyond words.
Which brings us to the structure of the book. Now, this isn't your typical chapter book. Instead, the story unfolds through a series of individual poems, 16 poems to be exact.
16 little windows into their world, each poem capturing a specific moment, a feeling, a thought, and together they create this tapestry of their lives, their growing bond, their shared journey of self-discovery.
So let's dive into those poems, shall we? And into the characters who bring them to life. We've got Thinker, our poetic pup, bursting with creativity and a desire to share his gift with the world.
But there's a catch, isn't there? He's not exactly sure how the world will react to a talking, poetry-writing dog. And then there's Jace, caught between his love for his unique pet and his fear of what others might think.
That fear of being different, of not fitting in, it's something so many of us can relate to, especially during those awkward childhood years. And it's a theme Greenfield handles with such sensitivity and insight.
Absolutely. Jace's initial hesitation to let Thinker's poetry be known is so understandable. He cherishes those private moments of connection with his pet, but the thought of exposing Thinker's abilities to the scrutiny of his classmates, well, that's a whole other level of anxiety.
And that tension, that internal conflict within Jace, really drives the narrative forward. As readers, we're rooting for both of them. We want Thinker to embrace his true self, but we also understand Jace's apprehension.
And it's not just Thinker and Jace who populate this world. We also get these wonderful glimpses into Jace's family life, his parents, his little sister Kimmy. They create this atmosphere of warmth, of acceptance that's so essential to the story.
Yes, the illustrations by Ehsan Abdullahi really play a big role in conveying that sense of family. The way he depicts their home life, the colors he uses, it all adds to that feeling of love and belonging.
The space where Thinker feels safe to be himself. A space where his unique gifts are appreciated, even celebrated.
Now, a significant portion of the story revolves around this upcoming event at Jace's school, Pets Day. And it's this event that really brings Jace's anxieties to a head.
Pets Day becomes this looming symbol of the outside world, of societal expectations, of that pressure to conform. And Jace is torn between wanting to protect Thinker from potential ridicule and wanting to share his amazing gift with others.
And Thinker, meanwhile, is grappling with his own internal dilemma. He knows his poetry is a part of him, an essential part of who he is. But the idea of keeping it hidden, of denying that part of himself, it just doesn't feel right.
There's a line in the book that really captures this struggle. Who am I if I'm not myself? It speaks to that universal need for authenticity, for embracing what makes us unique.
And the climax of the story, of course, takes place on that fateful Pet's Day. Despite Jace's best efforts to keep things low-key, Thinker's poetic spirit just can't be contained. He spontaneously bursts into a hilarious poem right there in the middle of the schoolyard.
It's a moment of pure, unadulterated self-expression. And the reaction, thankfully, is not what Jace feared. Instead of judgment, there's laughter, there's amazement.
And even more importantly, Thinker's act of courage inspires other pets to step forward and reveal their own hidden talents. It's like this chain reaction of authenticity, of embracing individuality.
And for Jace, it's a turning point. He witnesses firsthand the power of being true to yourself and how sharing those unique gifts can actually create connection, not division.
The book culminates with this incredibly energetic and joyful poem called Thinker's Rap. It's a celebration of their shared journey, of the joy of self-discovery, and the power of embracing what makes us different.
And it leaves us with this lingering sense of hope, this reminder that even in a world that often pressures us to conform, there's always room for individuality, for creativity, for the unexpected.
So let's talk about the deeper layers of this story, the themes that Eloise Greenfield so masterfully weaves into the narrative. One that stands out, as we've already touched upon, is the importance of being true to yourself.
That theme of authenticity resonates throughout the book. Thinkers struggle with wanting to share his poetry. Jace's initial reluctance to let him. It all speaks to the challenges and rewards of embracing our true selves, even when it feels scary or different.
And it's a message that's particularly important for young readers who are still figuring out who they are and where they fit in the world. It's a gentle reminder that what makes them different is also what makes them special.
Absolutely. Another theme that really shines through is the joy of sharing your talents. Thinker's poetry doesn't just exist in a vacuum. It has the power to connect him with others, to bring joy and laughter and understanding.
And it's not just about sharing for the sake of recognition or applause. It's about the act of creation itself and the ripple effect that our unique expressions can have on the world around us.
And then there's the theme of communication and friendship. The bond between Thinker and Jace, despite the obvious differences between them, is a testament to the power of shared passions to create genuine connections.
Their love for poetry becomes this unique language they speak, this way of understanding each other on a deeper level. It's a beautiful reminder that friendship can blossom in the most unexpected places.
And let's not forget the subtle yet ever-present theme of family and belonging. The warmth and acceptance that Thinker finds in Jace's home is crucial to his journey of self-discovery.
It's a space where he feels safe to be vulnerable, to express his true self without fear of judgment. And that sense of belonging is something that we all crave, regardless of age or species.
Now, for those of you who are particularly captivated by the idea of animals with extraordinary abilities, there's a whole world of books out there waiting to be explored.
Oh, absolutely. There are stories like Penguin's Hidden Talent by Philip Bunting, a delightful tale about discovering your own unique strengths.
And then there's Eddie Albert and the Amazing Animal Gang by Paul O'Grady, a story brimming with animals who possess surprising and hilarious skills.
And for those who are particularly drawn to the poetry aspect of Thinker's Rap, there are some fantastic children's poetry collections that delve into themes of friendship, identity, and the power of imagination.
Hailstones and Halibut Bones by Mary O'Neill is a classic, exploring colors and concepts in a wonderfully whimsical way.
And then there's The Poetry of U.S., an anthology celebrating diverse voices and experiences through the art of poetry.
And of course, we can't forget the amazing illustrations by Ehsan Abdullahi. His unique style adds so much depth and charm to Thinker's Rap.
If you enjoyed his work, be sure to check out When I Colored in the World by Ahmad Reza Ahmadi, a story about the boundless power of imagination.
And A Bottle of Happiness by Pippa Goodhart, a heartwarming tale about spreading joy and kindness.
Now, before we wrap up, we have to take a moment to acknowledge the incredible talent behind Thinker's Rap, the one and only Eloise Greenfield.
Eloise Greenfield was a true pioneer in children's literature. She was born in 1929, grew up in Washington, D.C., and went on to become one of the most celebrated authors of her generation.
Her work was deeply rooted in her desire to see more authentic and positive representations of African American children in books. She wanted to create stories that reflected their experiences, their hopes, their dreams.
And she succeeded in doing just that. Her stories are full of warmth, humor, and a deep understanding of the human heart. She was a master storyteller, a poet, and a true champion for diversity and inclusion in children's literature.
Her impressive list of awards includes the Coretta Scott King Award, the Coretta Scott King Virginia Hamilton Award for Lifetime Achievement, and the NCTE Award for Excellence in Poetry for Children.
And some of her other beloved works include Honey, I Love, Daydreamers, and her powerful biography of Rosa Parks.
Her passing in 2021 was a huge loss to the literary world, but her legacy continues to inspire and uplift readers of all ages.
So as we come to the end of our deep dive into Thinker's Rap, My Puppy Poet and Me, it's clear that this book is more than just a charming story about a poetry writing puppy.
It's a celebration of individuality, of the power of self-expression, and the joy of finding your voice, even if it's a little bit different, a little bit unexpected.
It reminds us that our unique gifts have the power to connect us with others, to bring joy and understanding to the world around us.
And it leaves us with this wonderful question to ponder. What hidden talents might be waiting to be discovered, not just within ourselves, but perhaps even in the most unexpected companions in our lives?
What amazing things might happen if we created more space for those unique expressions to be shared and celebrated.
That's something to think about, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the heartwarming and inspiring world of Thinker's Rap, My Puppy Poet and Me.
It's been a pleasure exploring this wonderful book with you.
Until next time, keep those imaginations sparking and those creative voices flowing.
And never be afraid to share your unique gifts with the world.
Goodbye, everyone.